Hello, hello, hello. Let me see if I can get this going. Get this going. How are y'all doing? Put down this phone and pick up this phone. We're going to talk about some hot topics today, some things that are going on in the news, things that I've run across this week. There's been a lot going on. First, I'm going to say some good mornings and then we'll get started. Good morning, Michelle Jones. Thank you for being here. Good morning, Miss AKA 1908. You better represent the sorority of the Alpha Kappa Alpha women. Yes. Good morning, Living for Me 75. Good morning, Dee Dee Hill. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. I am grateful that you guys are here. Hopefully you'll enjoy what we're going to chat about today. If you've seen the thumbnail, you can see a couple of people that I put in there that we're going to talk about. So I want to just thank you guys again. Hello, Shayna. We're not going to mispronounce names over here like butterfly. Shayna, thanks for joining me this morning. We are going to first start off with the Braxton family. So shout out to WeTV. This week they dropped a trailer, and the Braxton family values are coming back this fall. Looks like Tawanda is getting married. Tamar is pissing Tony off, and it is all set to return this year in October. I don't know how I feel about that because I have some weird feelings about Tamar, but life moves on regardless of what Tamar does. But we're going to see how that works out. I'll be in attendance because I've always enjoyed watching the Braxton family values, even though they seem like they don't have very many values. They don't have very many values, but I'm here for it. Whatever they got going on, I'm here to watch it. I am here for it. Let's see. The next thing I'm going to talk about, I scrolled on over to the Neighborhood Talk, and Kevin Gates released a diss track about his wife, his soon-to-be ex-wife, Dreka. As you know, this week she filed for divorce, I believe. And he wrote a diss track with T-Rail. And the lyrics say, she called and we talking. I'm guarding, forgive me not, sorry, but I got a heart with a dent. I guess he feels he needs to express himself. I don't know. Let me know if y'all here for the diss track. It's out there on the Neighborhood Talk. You can go to their page on Instagram and actually watch the diss track. I think they just put like a small excerpt in there. But it's there if you want to hear it. It's a little whack to me, but I guess. I guess, Kevin. I guess, honey. I guess if you need to get off your chest, get it off your chest. That's all I can say to you. Get it off your chest. Next, I want to talk about Miss Kenya Moore. I'm not a Kenya Moore fan. I'm not a twirl girl, but I kind of this season I was kind of there for. I felt like she had been not treated fairly. I thought that what Britt did was ugly, and I think her response was also ugly. But we know Tanya has a tendency to go a little bit lower than everybody else. So let's talk about it. I got this little report from US Weekly. US Weekly is reporting that Kenya Moore hair care spa is accused of owing $44,000 in back rent and fees, according to court documents obtained by US Weekly. Moore's company, Moore Vision Media, is accused of owing nearly $44,000 in past due rent and other charges. The claims are being made by Northern Chambly, the landlord, for the reality stars business in Georgia. On Monday, July 28th, the landlord demanded the court intervene and help them take possession of the property in question. It said it served Moore's company weeks ago, but the issue is that she still possesses the property and has not turned it over. This possession of the property remains unresolved, and the legal the legal drama actually started back in April of 2025 when the landlord sued Moore Vision Media Inc. It accused Moore of owing the company $21,897.40 in unpaid rent due from December 24th until April. The actual article says 24th, but I believe it means 2025. Her rent is $4,379.48 a month, and the complaint demanded $148 per day until Moore's company vacated the premises. In addition, the suit is asking for $5,909 in operating expenses, taxes, storage charges, utility, and other fees. But in June, Moore's lawyer, the lawyer for Moore's Vision Media Inc., denied the claims and filed a counterclaim against the landlord. The counterclaim accuses the landlord of failing to pay money for the tenant improvement as required by the contractor company. He said he had, as required by their contract. The company said he had to use their own funds to maintain, repair, rehab, and improve the subject's property to render the property usable and able to be occupied for their use. Under the parties' lease agreement, there was submitted evidence that the legal battle, one of the provisions, provisions of the deal, the landlord acknowledges the tenant occasionally, I'm fumbling all over my words because I actually did voice to text and we know what that means. Occasionally permitted filming at its location, but the television production Real Housewives of Atlanta the landlord, the tenant, may permit filming of RHOA solely for the premiere was their agreement. And anything more than that, obtain approval for the filming beforehand. In addition, the deal said RHOA film crew may not stage filming or set up its crew within or otherwise use or obstruct any common areas of the project without the landlord's prior approval. And it goes on to say that Kenya invested more than $300,000 to build out the luxury spa, and that the landlord agreed to reimburse her approximately $80,000 for tenant improvements. So it looks like they're having a battle back and forth of who's going to pay what, when, and where. And I hope it works out for Kenya in her favor. I want to see all Black businesses win. And we know that Kenya, I believe she said she invested money from her daughter's education fund. I believe she used some of her daughter's money to start this business because she wanted it to be something that her daughter could have in the future as a legacy. But it's turning out that it's not working that way. It says, despite the legal actions, Kenya Moore remains hopeful that the landlord will act in good faith and resolve the matter fairly and amicably. According to reports on July 26, Moore now, she says she has not signed to the season 17 of Real Housewives of Atlanta. So that's it for Miss Kenya, honey. So I don't know what the road looks like for Kenya. I hope she does come back to Real Housewives of Atlanta. She has a tendency to move the story. Even though she's probably the most hated, she has a tendency to move the story along, right? It seemed like this year they kind of was stuck in a rut. They had, for me, probably too many new cast members as opposed to Portia being the veteran and then bringing in Phaedra, who she doesn't really offer a lot. She's good for a one-liner here and there. She'll show us some cute scenes at her home, but at the end of the day, Phaedra doesn't really have a lot to offer to me, to the show. So I really hope that they do bring Kenya back. They had too many fans because I totally agree with that. Living for Me, I believe that Britt was a super fan. She wanted to be on the show, and she fanned out. I'm not really sure what Britt's entire problem was this season, because I just feel like we did not get to I'm gonna back this up. I don't know what her problem was, because we didn't see a problem other than she tried to pick at Kenya as far as we could see, but we know they edit everything edit everything heavily. But we didn't see any kind of anybody doing anything to Britt that Britt didn't reciprocate. So I'm not really sure what that's all about. You know what? I'm not gonna do any more voice to text. I'm just gonna read the notes from maybe if I handwrite it out, because baby, when I tell you Siri done did all kinds of stuff, and watch everything I got in here. They got a Siri on. It's about to start spinning. Next on that I want to talk about is Deion Sanders. I am a Deion Primetime Sanders fan. I love Deion. He is actually from the same state that I live in, and he has a lot going for him. He used to coach Little League football and off-season football for the young people. He's a great mentor. He's a great guy. So let's just talk about what's going on with Deion Sanders. Deion held a press conference, I believe, on Wednesday of this week, and he addressed some health issues. Deion Sanders told the world that he had a diagnosis of bladder cancer. He sat on stage with him and his oncologist, which is an oncologist is a physician that specializes in cancer, and they treat cancer. They both described what he went through, the procedure, what type of surgery it was, how they reconstructed everything, and they also gave the outcome and a prognosis of his surgery. Prognosis just means they gave a timeline, or prognosis tells you a link, like if it's going to be good, prognosis is not good, if it's grim or whatever. So we're going to continue, of course, the whole prime up in prayer for sure. I love Deion when he played football, baby. I am a Deion Sanders fan. Do you hear me? I think I got one of his old jerseys in my closet. They also discussed what his new life will look like, and some of the things he had to deal with during and after surgery. In fact, Deion decided not to even tell his children about what he was going through until after his surgery. He actually had his son Bucky. I think Bucky knew what his dad was dealing with, but he had Bucky to document every step of his journey through bladder cancer. And bladder cancer is actually a very hard cancer. It's a very aggressive cancer. I'll put it that way. Depending on the type you have, but you don't want bladder cancer because your bladder is a muscle, and you don't never want a tumor inside of a muscle. I talked about how he chose not to tell his children, and if you really watch it, his son Bucky documented each stage, like I said, but he documented him telling the girls, Deandra and what's her name? Shalom. He documented him telling the girls about his cancer. And he actually didn't say any words. He was holding his grandson, and his caregiver actually did the conversation, which I thought was very touching, that he wanted to document it because he wanted, in his words, God to get the glory. And I really appreciate him documenting, because believe it or not, it's important that you have your checkups. He said making a will was one of the hardest things he ever had to do. And also, in the midst of him doing all of this, the video, the documentation of his journey through this, you see him going through his, he owns property in Canton, Texas, and he's going through his property and he's looking around, and on the other side of his property is 177 acres that he purchases because he says he believed God has him here to keep his family together. So he bought enough land so that everybody could be in one place, but still have enough room between them. I thought that was really, really beautiful. I said, I talked about just going through the surgery, how he went through the surgery, and then his son documented how he told his daughters. And the one thing we all need to be aware of is we need to be getting our physicals and our going to the doctors. If you have something that you think may be wrong, go to the doctor. And when you sit down with your physician and your provider, you make sure that you tell them exactly what your symptoms are so that they can know better how to treat you. Going to the doctor and not telling them what's going on is not going to serve you in any kind of capacity. You need to tell the doctor what's going on. I have X, Y, and Z. I'm feeling X, Y, and Z. I have this going on, that going on. Hello, butterfly. Welcome to the live. Because doctors, they take what you give them and then they actually develop a care plan according to the information that you give. So if you don't give that information, they don't know how to take care of you. So when you go to the physician, you make sure that you're letting them know, hey, I got this going on, I got that going on, and I don't feel well, whatever. So it is important that when you go to the doctor that you let them know, hello, beautiful. I was in your live last night, in and out of your live. People kept calling me and I was like, I'm trying to be at the shoot down to the lounge. Y'all interrupting, but I enjoyed it. Have you made your appointment? We have not forgot. Exactly. You go see those doctors. If you feel like something isn't right, go see the doctor. Sometimes you can look at the palm of your hand, and if your hand is yellow, sometimes they'll tell you that you're anemic, right? Or the inner lining of your lip. So you can tell just sometimes by looking at certain parts of your body what's going on with you. If they look strange, then don't Google it, because Google will have you dying tomorrow. Go see the doctor if you have any kind of symptoms. Don't Google it. All right, we're going to go see the doctor. Next, I want to talk about this. I thought this was hilarious, but we're going to watch this little short video first, okay? Yeah, I want to start Ursha. I love it.
You feeling well tonight?
Y'all hear it?
You feeling great tonight? What can I make you feel better? It's your birthday. You retired? You flew from Chicago to be here tonight, and this is a celebratory moment for you because you retired. You deserve this moment. You deserve this moment. Come in, baby.
I know that's why I live for free. Okay, I'm not gonna go any further into that, but y'all saw that, right? So the lady who actually she said she was retiring, and let me stop laughing so I could talk about this. She said she was retiring and she was at an Usher concert, and she actually was in the path of where Usher walks, right? Because he walks through the crowd talking to the women with his fur on, and he stopped at her, and of course he serenaded her. It was a beautiful experience. If you ever been to an Usher concert, he gives a concert, y'all. I saw him in concert, and girl, I left out there look like this, literally. He will have you drooling because he gives such a great concert. But these two right here on screen decided that they wanted to discuss it on their nightcap, right? So let's talk about Shannon Sharpe and Chad Ochocinco Johnson. Let's not forget that on this week alone, Shannon Sharpe was fired from ESPN. A couple of weeks ago, he settled a lawsuit with an OnlyFans. Child, this is not Shannon Sharpe's year. We're going to pray for Shannon. Amen. So I got this article from Vibe magazine, the one I'm going to read. Shannon Sharpe and Chad Ochocinco were sued for $20 million by the viral Usher concert. So that young lady that we saw that Usher was serenading is suing these two people right here for $20 million. The woman is reportedly suing for false and defamatory statements. A woman who was shot in the viral video after attending an Usher concert. The video went viral, of course. People looked at it. Her name is Jamelia, and this may be wrong because I told you I did voice to text. Her last name is, we'll just call her Miss Tillman. Miss Tillman took legal action against Shannon Sharpe and the nightcap co-host Chad Ochocinco Johnson and the podcast production company, which is Shay Shay Media, for false and defamatory statements. She has sued them for $20 million and damages, and it was fueled by the two men claiming that her husband had filed for divorce after she and Usher had a steamy on-camera moment during his tour earlier this year. On April the 2nd, 2025, she participated in a fan engagement moment at the Usher Raymond concert where, this is her talking, where she interacted with the artist as a selected audience member. The lawsuit says. It also detailed the following events. The defendant made and disseminated false, defamatory statements suggesting that I was married and that my husband was filing for divorce due to my participation in this audience experience. I am not married, nor am I currently going through a divorce. The lawsuit continued. I was not married at the time of the fan participation moment, during the Usher concert, or after. Added the defendant. She also added the defendant's false narratives were shared across their other platforms and given to where it reached millions of followers. It went viral. It spread it. And her reputation suffered. Despite my clear and public refutation of the false narrative. Y'all, I cannot read this morning. Dog it. Tillman also claimed that she had made numerous efforts to contact the defendants to request a removal of the false narrative, but they were disregarded. The ongoing misinformation has resulted in emotional distress of the plaintiff, damage of her reputation, and adversely affected her personal and professional relationships, explained the lawsuit. Tillman previously spoke out regarding the false narrative that surrounded her at that time. She said the spotlight that was put on her is completely false. I am single. And she's elaborated too many times. I am a retired homeschool mom looking to expand the arts here and there and across the pond. I am single. You got a cherry? Give me a jingle. She continued. When he came around with those cherries, I said, well, life is a bowl of cherries. I'll take one of those. And or maybe two. And so that explains the moment she had with Usher. Vibe says they reached out to Ochocinco and to Shannon Sharpe regarding a statement for the pending lawsuit, and they have not responded. Chat, I'm gonna need Shannon Sharpe just to sit out the rest of 2025. Ochocinco, you going back where you was at, and y'all chill, and then y'all come back next year, and then tell us whatever y'all got to say. But y'all gonna have to pay this woman some money, because you can't be out here just lying on this woman. You just can't do it. You just can't be doing it. What you say? I thought they had put the podcast on pause. It was on last night, I believe. I think I saw it not because I used to watch them. I hadn't watched them in a long time, but I thought I saw it last night or night before. But I've seen it this week. It was on this week. Splash, definitely Splash Waterfalls. She was. Wouldn't you be? Wouldn't you be? Look at Usher Raymond. Look at him. Oh my gosh. Yeah. You think it's you don't think that it's a good lawsuit for defamation? You shouldn't be able just to go around here and just talk about people, right? You shouldn't be able to just lie on people. I think that if it don't matter, Shannon do. Butterfly, I don't know what that means. Good morning, Miss Alicia. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, I think that people should not be allowed to just lie on you. I think that if you lie on someone, you should be made to pay, whatever it looks like. Jail. Because I already tell you, I hate a liar. I can't stand a liar. I'd rather you fight me than a lie to me. I hate a liar. Hello, Symmetry. Thanks for coming in. They can't be lying. I don't know who can't be lying. I don't know. The lady said she's not married. She hasn't been married. She said that she was at the concert. She was participating in this part of the experiment or this audience participation experience. And she felt like they were using her, and they went on their platform and they lied, and they did lie. We can't say they didn't. We can't say they lied. We can say that they went on their platform and ran their mouths, because they definitely did that. It don't matter what Shannon do. They're going to make him pay for that cat. I agree with that. Baby. When I tell you Cat Williams shook up the world, but that was in 2024. We still living under Cat Williams' spell in 2025. Okay. I don't know. Let's see. What's my next one? Oh, let's move on. I didn't want to really talk about this, but I guess I'll talk about it. I guess I will. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, yeah, I forgot to put this up. Everything I'm using is not mine. It's the pictures, all of that. This video has copyrighted material strictly used for purposes of commentary, criticism, and education under the Section 107 of the Copyright Act. This qualifies as fair use. Y'all know I'm new to this. Let me put my banners up, because, baby, I'll be over just running my mouth. All of this qualifies under fair use. None of this is mine. I have given my thoughts, but the rest is fair use copyrighted material, especially the video of Usher, baby. Woo! I'm gonna have to watch that again. I really enjoyed it. But let's talk about some serious stuff. A lot of times we don't want to talk about serious issues, but we have to talk about serious issues. I don't know how many of you are watching the news or paying attention to what's going on in America. There's a lot going on. But I want to talk about your old president for a minute. Donald Trump. This was what he posted on Truth Social yesterday at 12:53 p.m., which is right after noon. Based on the highly provocative statement of, let me put it on my phone so I can read it, because I believe I still have it on my phone, and I may not. We're gonna wing it, because I got this banner going. Let me just stop the banner. That may help for a moment. Here we go. Based on the highly provocative statements of the former president of Russia, Dmitry Medvedev, who is now the deputy chairman of the Security Council of Russia Federation, I have ordered 2 nuclear submarines to be positioned in the appropriate regions, just in case these foolish and inflammatory statements are more than just that. Words are very important and can often lead to unintentional consequences. I hope this will not be one of those instances. Thank you for your attention in this matter. Well, your president sent over 2 submarines, 2 of our biggest, not just regular submarines, 2 of our biggest nuclear carrying submarines. We don't really want to go to war with Russia. We just don't. Okay. But let's talk about it. This is the end of my little rant. So let's just talk about it a little bit. Okay. On yesterday, we're just gonna give a shout out to NBC News because this is where I got this actual article. Trump said he is now deploying 2 nuclear subs after a highly provocative statement from Russia's ex-president. Okay. I guess he gets to decide what is provocative and what isn't. Okay. Remember, Trump is the guy that now can push the button. Always remember that. Apparently, Donald Trump and Dmitry have had, I don't know what his role is again, I just forgot, but the ex-president of Russia is what we'll make him, have been having an exchange of text messages that are not so pleasant. President Donald Trump said on Friday that he has ordered the deployment of 2 U.S. nuclear submarines in response to what he called a highly provocative statement from former Russia President Dmitry Medvedev. I don't know. I probably messed this man's name up. Based on the highly provocative statements of the former president of Russia, who is now the deputy chairman. I've already read all that. He ordered the nuclear submarines to be placed in the regions. We don't know exactly what regions, but we know they're close. Okay. They're close to Russia. And Trump added words that are very important. He wrote in his post on Truth Social, words are very important, can often lead to unintended consequences. I hope this will not be one of those instances. I hope so too. Because again, America does not need to be at war with Russia. We just don't. We just don't need to be at war with Russia. Tension between the U.S. and Russia have escalated this week as Trump and Dmitry have exchanged threatening statements. Trump doubled down on the move later in the day, telling reporters as he departed the White House that he had ordered the submarines as a safety precaution. Well, we had to do that, is what Trump said. We just have to be careful. And the threat was made, and we didn't think it was appropriate. So I had to be very, very careful. So I had to do that on the basis of the safety of our people, Trump said, as he was asked about the deployment. The threat was made by a former Russian president, and I have to protect our people. The Russian embassy in Washington, D.C. did not immediately respond to the request for comments about the remarks on Friday. You guys, I implore you to keep your eyes on what's going on in America. Don't let this bull crap on YouTube, on Facebook, on TikTok, on any of social media platforms. Don't let it deter you from what is going on in our world. Pay attention. Keep your eyes open. Literally. Be aware of your surroundings. Be aware of where you're at. Last night I was reading an article. My cousin actually called me about something she had read. A guy who was a truck. There was an article put out that a trucker was missing. I'm trying to remember the gentleman's name, but it's escaped me right now. The name of the trucker. Turns out that the whole thing was a lie. It was created by AI. There's no trucker missing, but it creates a heightened sense of security for anybody who drives trucks to be aware of what you're doing and where you're going. The Bible says there will come a time that you will hear wars and rumors of wars. Don't forget the rumors of wars. But the Bible says this is the beginning of trouble. It didn't say this is the end. This is just the beginning. So be careful of what you see. Be careful of what you're doing. Again, be aware of your surroundings. Watch who you live next to. Pay attention to what's going on next door. Pay attention to when you go to a store, a grocery store, a department store, always look for exit signs. That is something I've always done. When I go to a restaurant, I never sit with my back to the door, and I always look for all the exit signs because you never know where you're going to have to escape. And I learned that just from one of my visits to New Orleans some years back. Always find an exit. Always be near the exit. So if I'm at a party, I'm going to be somewhere sitting near an exit because I am going to get out. No, there are truckers. There may be truckers missing, but that gentleman is not missing. Okay, let's be clear. He is not missing. We cannot be out here. Like I said, it calls for a heightened of security and awareness, but that gentleman is not missing. He actually isn't a trucker at all. He's a school teacher. He released a statement last night on TikTok and on his Facebook page saying, hey, I'm not missing. I was not found up under a tree. I had not been hung, all of that. But again, this is to bring a sense of heightened awareness to all of us, to be aware of what's going on. If you have loved ones who are truckers, make sure that you keep in touch with them, that they share their location, that you know where they are, that they're checking in with you and you're checking in with them. I have a little nephew on the road. And when I saw that, it freaked me out, right? Because we want our loved ones to return home safely, just like our policemen. We want our policemen, our loved ones that are police officers in emergency medicine, to return home safely. We don't send them out for them not to return home. So that is just what I just want to share with everybody. Be aware of what's going on. Pay attention. We may not like the news, but listen to the news. Listen to the news. Sure, I could share the link. Girl, I'm new to this bad boy. I got to find a link. Mm-hmm. I saw it when I was playing with it earlier today. Lord have mercy. I cannot be this silly when it comes to y'all. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna put you guys on hold for just a moment. There you go, butterfly. There you go. There you go. Yeah, there you go. So although there are truckers that are missing, that particular guy is not missing. Okay, he's alive and he's well, and he wanted everyone to know that. I don't even know what to look for to find out if someone's here. Oh, there's one person in my studio. Girl, I don't know how to get to that one person.
Top of the morning, beautiful.
I'm over here pushing buttons. I don't know what I'm doing. Good morning.
You'll get the hang of it. You look beautiful. Girl, I hate you. Now, first and foremost, I hate.
Girl, I look beautiful. Not my big back and my strong face.
Girl, that strong face, baby. That face is strong in today, baby. Ooh, okay. Come on, that's a strong face crew. We gotta make
it's so strong. I want y'all to keep y'all men at my inbox. That's how strong this face is. Keep them niggas at my inbox.
Girl, listen. Y'all know we gonna take the lemons and make lemonade. You know how we get down. Listen, you know how we get down. But okay. First and foremost, I hate typing when I have a lot to say because I be having mad typos. Then y'all know I'm a big conspiracy theorist. So what I was saying about the trucking situation is I believe that whole AI situation was to distract from the fact that there are truckers missing. You get what I'm saying? I get what you're saying. You think it's a fear-mongering tactic, but I'm thinking, nah, they trying to distract from the fact that there are a lot of truckers missing.
Right.
And they did the AI thing. Cause you know how they could throw the AI in thing, and you see how you're like, oh wait a minute, oh it was a whole lie. So now it's gonna make people think, oh maybe the other truckers that they claim are missing is a lie too. You get what I'm saying? So I feel like it's an overplay for the underplay. I feel like that whole AI situation was to distract from the fact that there are truckers missing, and they don't want us to pay attention.
Possibly, I agree with that. And let's also put in there that it is a lot of Black truckers missing.
Yes.
Black men, Black
yep.
that are missing. So we don't want to just make it, out to be that there's just people missing there. Let's specifically put a name and a demographic with that, so that we can be aware.
Do. Yeah. You're right. We have to. Yeah, you're right. It's Black truckers missing. That's why I'm like, wait a minute now. Because I did.
You got to be kidding me. Thanks for joining. I'm sorry, Butterfly. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. Top of the morning. Got to be kidding me. Yes, guys. Thanks for coming over and subscribing. And we greatly, greatly appreciate your support. But Lady Ro, I'm gonna let you run your show because you're doing a good job. I just didn't want to type all that out.
No, I appreciate you coming up because everybody has a little bit of input to put into this, right?
Right.
Because not only are our truckers coming up missing, our children are coming up missing as well.
Man.
And we've got to be vigilant about what's going on, not be so oblivious to life and not, because there are so many things that are around us to distract us, right? I also read this morning, not to even change the subject, but just on the same ban of this, young lady dropped her child off at daycare, and within hours her baby was deceased based on the baby choking on something that they had given him to eat. I think it was a meatball. The baby choked. And so even with that, you have to be careful who you have watch your children, who you give your children to, right?
First, you need to make sure they all certified. Was nobody certified in CPR, first aid? Like what? Like how could they let the baby? Okay.
Again, there was so many. I had so many questions. I only glanced at the article because I'd already been researching these articles to talk about today, so I didn't want to add that one to it because there was, I just was doing this. This is something I want to kind of do every week, do a recap of the news, things that's going on in the news, things that I find interesting, because sometimes what people highlight on, we miss some of the small things. And I think we need to highlight daily things. I brought in, some high names, but I'm going to also plug in some small people within communities that really need to be notified or notice that things are going on with them. But that daycare thing kind of clung out to me because, I have one that's getting ready to go to daycare.
Right.
And so with that, it kind of pulls at my heartstrings.
Yeah. Yeah. Pulls at mine too, because I'm just like, how are they not, was nobody CPR certified? Like how?
And there was a reason why our mothers or our grandmothers did not want our children in daycare. They, used to be the great grandmothers and the grandmothers took care of the children so they didn't have to go to daycare. But most of our grandmothers and our great grandmothers are actually working. They're still in the workforce, right?
Yep.
So if you're still in the workforce, you have to depend on daycare to watch your children.
Yep.
I had to depend on daycare to watch mine. My mother she was retired, but she would travel. But when she kept them for the first 2 or 3 years of their life, and then they went to daycare. But I didn't want to put that burden on.
That a lot of people, or if you do end up sending them, a lot of people don't feel comfortable sending them until they're able to talk and verbalize more and be more aware and be more alert. So, if something happened to them, that they could communicate it to them. So I know when I was raising my kids, that was a big thing, sending them to daycare too early.
Right. Because you want to make sure that they are being taken care of. Our children you know, Whitney said, I believe the children are the future. They are the future, but what are we instilling into our children? Are we giving them the tools that they need? Again, I have a grandchild that is getting ready to go to daycare.
Right.
And there was an age before he could join, which I appreciate, because we have, as a family, been able to manipulate where he's gone to keep him out of daycare. And my children also went to the same daycare. They went to, it's a private school. They went there. I know the owners. I trust them fully, but that does not negate my concerns.
Right. Because it's new compared to when you're, you know, there's new staff compared to when your kids was, you know what I mean?
Right.
So, yeah.
Most definitely. Alicia, right. She said her grandmother, my grandmother watched me and my brother. Exactly. Because that's what grandparents did. They pretty much stayed and watched the grandchildren. Living for Me said, just like the child who went to the dentist and stopped breathing while in the chair. That is one of the most tragic situations I have read about in a long time. It makes me scared to go to the dentist. You know what I'm saying? And I go on a regular basis, but it makes me scared to go because what if I need to be sedated?
Right.
They put the child under to do some cleaning or whatever procedure that he needed done, but he stopped breathing. So, and I don't want to, you know, bring up this, but I am going to bring it up. A dentist office is not a hospital. It's not an urgent care center. They don't have a lot of the equipment that you would have in an emergency situation. Somebody would call while I was live. And I'm on, and
that's the best time to call.
And look, and it goes straight to my MacBook while my phone ringing and the MacBook ringing. But when they don't have the emergency medicine and stuff there to handle people when they code, right?
Things like that,
they do have crash carts, but I don't know how to even really explain. They have crash carts there, but it's a difference when you code and you're in hospital. Yeah, they have limited resources. Thank you, Miss AK. And that phone call threw me off because I'm gonna have to call them back as soon as I get off this line. It's my kid. But again, they have limited resource and limited training because remember, dentists, although they're doctors, they don't go through doctors of medicine training. They take CPR classes, just like you and I take CPR classes. So their education on handling crashes are
limited.
Is very limited, very, very limited. I cannot express how limited it is. I had to have a procedure that I had to have sedation. I actually went to an oral surgeon because I wanted to make sure it was done properly. And he took me in, he showed me his office, he showed me his surgery room. When I left there, I felt comfortable. He did the procedure. When I woke up, baby, it was time to go home. It was done.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what everybody, you need to make sure that you're checking out don't just send your kid here.
Right.
Especially when it comes to a dentist, when it comes to a doctor, look at the reviews. Read the reviews, read what the stars are. And what I tell them, read the Yep reviews because they're out there. We just sometimes choose to ignore them. Right.
Yeah. Because remember we had that discussion because I was like, dang, I didn't think people really still use Yelp, but
oh yeah, we use Yep. We still use, and when I say Yep, Yep is just a name, right? Right. Yeah. When I say Yep reviews, it means the reviews, period. If it's Yep, if it's YouTube, Yahoo reviews, if it's Google reviews, if it's Facebook review, read the reviews. Even on products that you put on your skin, on your face, on your eyes, in your eyes, read the reviews. Even the medicine that you digest, read the reviews. Shanna says, scary. I've been a child care teacher for 20 years, and that is one of my biggest fears as a teacher, choking. Pray for U.S. children, child care workers as well, please. We definitely will be definitely praying because I can imagine the burden that you carry taking care of someone else's child because you got to make sure that child gets back home safely, right? I have a friend whose child rode on the bus, 5 years old, first day of school, all around the city. The bus driver never realized this child never got off the bus. Luckily, the bus driver did everything she was supposed to do, and she walked the rows, and there was this little baby sitting in this seat by herself, 5 years old. Mama's worried about her at home, and this little baby's on the bus. She never made it to a bus stop, but they got her back home safely, thank God. But I can only imagine the worry.
Yeah. Yeah.
He said,
Yeah.
Big Mama and Adult Baby kept me and my kids until they were. And you know what? Thank God for Big Mamas and Adult Babies. Thank God for them. We don't have them anymore because they moved the let me see how's work. They moved the Social Security age up. We got to work. The life that we live now requires us to have a two-income household. Till you really cannot afford to retire and take care of your grandchildren.
Right.
And it's crazy.
It's crazy that we're talking about this because I just had a conversation with somebody about that the other morning when I was in Mom and Pop. I was going in there to get my coffee, and I was like, I feel nice. They're like, you pregnant? No, I ain't pregnant. Don't be wishing that on me. My youngest is 21. Get the hell up out of here with that type of language. So we ended up talking about grandparents. And I'm like, I told them to wait 10 years. Give me 10 years because I want to be a real grandma. I don't want to be, trying to still be outside and not be a dedicated grandma. You know what I mean? And I know right now, because my kids are just now officially like grown. I'm give me a minute. Okay. Give me a minute. Hold up. Okay.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this
about your kids and taking care of them, but you know what I mean. It's not as intense,
right?
You know.
But think about it, Butterfly. Your grandmother, I don't know because you talk about her often.
Yes.
How old was she when you were born?
You know what? She was young because my mother had me at 18.
Exactly. Yeah. But it was because
my brother after school, we used to go to her house after school. But I'm trying to think. I'm like, dang, well, how was she able to do that? Because my grandmother worked. She was still working. She worked for the telephone company. Yeah, I remember the 9X. Is that the name of it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, y'all remember that old telephone company? I think 9X. I think I'm remembering it correct. But yeah, she worked for them for years, and and then she eventually retired. But I was just thinking about that when y'all was like I'm like, yeah, my grandmother did. We did. Me and my brother used to walk to her house after school. But I'm like, dang, her schedule. I can't remember her schedule because I was little. I'm like, dang, what her schedule looked like.
But you have to remember that although our children are having children later in life, right?
Yeah.
Our grandparents were grandparents early.
Right.
My mother was a grandmother early. She was in her 30s when she was a grandmother.
Right. Right.
I have nieces. I have 2 nephews older than I am. So my mother was
I'm the middle child. My mother's first child was, my mother was 14 going on 15. So my grandmother was definitely a grandmother very early.
See, there you go. So I don't know what has changed in society. I just kind of equated it to Social Security, the age of Social Security going up, and of course our economic system is out of control, and we've been in recessions, and it just takes 2 incomes to make it. So I'm not really sure.
I think it has a lot to do with the boomers mindset too, because a lot of them still want to be young. Example, Shannon Sharpe. Why are you messing with 19-year-old girls at your old age? You know what I mean? Like it's the need to still want to be young in a sense. It's like I think that plays a lot into it too. I think
wanted to be young, but Shannon Sharpe also said he gave his daughter I think it was a $10,000 budget for a wedding. That's how much he told her she could spend, but you just had to pay a girl $20 million, an OnlyFans model, $20 million.
Hold up. Don't forget you retired her. Don't forget the girl.
And she retired because you paid her 20. Well, we don't know what he paid her because they settled out of court, but we know she didn't settle for free. We know that. Okay. Living for Me said that is how it was when my kids went to daycare. It was a small daycare and they had time to watch the kids. Exactly. Exactly. My kids went to a very small daycare. I knew everybody there. In fact, now when they see their daycare teachers, they be like, "Oh my God, I remember you. Oh, my babies are grown." Yeah, yeah. You know how they do it. But
Yeah.
definitely, definitely something that has to be taken into account. Where you sending your children? Are they going to be in good hands? Check those licenses with the state. Make sure their licenses are in good standing. There was a lady who volunteered to
CPRs are up to date. The CPR certification's got to be up to date, and I think you have to do
date
those every year, every 2 years.
every year.
Right. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Mine's due right now. It got to be done by August 31st. So definitely every year. But here's the next thing too. Most daycares have a plaque on the wall that shows its licenses. Check those licenses. Make sure they are not expired. My oldest granddaughter, she was going to a daycare. The lady had her license revoked, but she still had a license on the wall, making people think that her license was still active. It was. I'm gonna tell you what alarmed me. Every day I would drop her off, she would cry, and she was a young baby. I had to work, but I went to drop her off one day, and the lady wasn't there, and there was a girl that came to the door. It was the second day this girl came to the door to get her. And my granddaughter literally climbed up my shoulder.
Oh wow, yeah, yep.
I did. I gave her to the girl, and I drove down the street, and I busted a U-turn. And I said, let me take her with me. And she said, let me take her with me. That was the last day she went. And I started investigating and found out these people's license had been removed. A child had an incident in their home. So they had lost all accreditation because of something that happened in their house.
Right.
So yeah,
like on outside of the daycare. Oh
right.
yeah,
right.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
So you definitely, and it was a reason why. Let me tell you, your children, young babies, will give you a sign that something isn't right.
Mm-hmm.
And I was getting my hair done. I have a standing appointment every 2 weeks, and my beautician was doing my hair, and I was telling her how the first time I dropped her off and how my baby didn't want to go, and she said, "Pay attention to that. My baby did the same thing, and it was pinching him. Pay attention to that." And so that's another reason why. The second time I did, and I busted that U-turn and picked her up and dropped her off with my mama. My mama kept her for a whole year. I'm very appreciative for that.
Yeah.
Let's see, where are we going? We reading some comments. Live for Me says, "Trust me, my sister has been an oral surgeon for 20 years, and her boss somehow knew the dentist in the case, and everything was not told." I believe that. I believe that about that boy. I believe that. Yeah. Miss AK says she has TMJ really bad. I know you do. I know you do. Because my daughter talks about her TMJ, and that, but when I say she be at the dentist religiously, baby, snap her little what they call it, Invisaligns in, and child. And she was like that in high school, so I knew that was gonna be who she was as an adult, and that's exactly who she is as an adult. Let's see what else. Anything? Yes, read the reviews. Oh, your grandchildren. Children being in another state is really hard because you can't watch them. Because when they're in the same state you're in, you can keep up with them. But when they're not not where you can see them, it is a little bit hard. Thank you, Kashara, for coming. You know, I love my girls, my sisters.
Yeah.
Speak for yours. They couldn't wait for me to tap 40. Here come grandbaby number 1. Living for me. We here, baby. We here. I was 40 when my first one was born too. I was 40 when my first one was. I'm like, could y'all wait?
Oh, look, God bless me to make it to 55. They let me make it to 50. No, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, could y'all wait? I had my son when I was 18, graduated high school, had my daughter at 20, graduated from college. Girl. And I'm sure they are great children. They're great children. I was in the same boat. I had one at 18, 20, 23. So I understand.
I was about to take off for a second.
Yeah, we having them babies. But you know what? Children are a blessing. We just got to take care of them. Yeah. Yes, my mom kept all of her grandkids. She's now 76 and watching 2 of her 8 great grands. I'm gonna tell you something. You got to be kidding me. They say that grandparents who babysit their grandchildren live longer.
Mm.
That's what they say.
I can believe that because they say a lot of women that have a lot of children live longer too.
Mhm.
I can believe that because you stay your blood. You know what I'm saying? Your functioning stay functioning because you gotta be so attentive. I
Right.
can believe. Yeah.
Yeah. If I was her daughter, I would never hear the end of it. I guess you're talking to somebody in the chat.
No, talk about Shannon Sharp situation in the West. He would never hear the end of it.
Never. In fact, I probably would stop talking to him.
In fact, we would be having a whole new wedding for our 5th anniversary. You would be paying that 25 mil on my wedding, loser.
Definitely. Why would you do that? Why would you even say that to your kid? Would you say Big Mama used to say that old man's my mama said the same thing. My auntie said they had cooties.
That wolves. They act like it. Some of them do, boy.
Ooh, Miss AK, now that's a word. Pay top dollar for some, but want to, check your kids on a couple of dollars. I don't understand it. I'm going into the bushes here. Okay, thank you for even coming. But I'm gonna tell you this next thing. I've been following this lady on Instagram, y'all. I was intending to get her Instagram handle, but I probably will put it back in the chat later on.
Okay.
Living for me, I'm so glad you came. I appreciate it. But I ordered her book. It's called, I don't know if you can see that.
Ooh, I see the butterfly.
Big, beautiful butterfly. It's called Reclaiming Your Identity. I probably need to take off my background for that, but my walls are white.
Move a little closer. Yep, that's perfect. That's perfect. We can see it.
Reclaiming Your Identity by Kendall L. Williams. It is a mom's guide to empowerment, boundaries, peace amid estrangement. And I actually ordered her book because she told a story on her, I think, TikTok about her son going no contact with her based on her not being at his surgery, although she was dealing with cancer at the time and having the tumor removed. He was having a minor surgery and she wasn't there, so he was upset about it. So she wrote a guide, and I want to I don't say next, but one of our lives, we're going to talk about moms and children going no contact. And I think this is something that needs to be unpacked. I'm going to be reading from this book. It's a short book. It's only 62 pages. And the last 2 pages are affirmations for mothers, telling you how to affirm yourself. What the first affirmation is: I'm not responsible for my adult child's choices or behaviors. And I want every woman who has a child on here that is watching this to understand that the decisions that your children make don't have anything to do with you whatsoever. Guess what? I told mine, and I would tell anybody's child, because I don't mind talking to young people. There is a consequence for every decision that you make, whether it's good or bad. There is a consequence. There is something that is going to happen for every decision that you make. So we have to be aware of that. So with that being said, oh, me and make you stink, girl. They probably do. I ain't gonna give them that chance. I don't plan on giving nobody a chance to make me stink, baby. Make somebody else stink. Okay, goodbye. But that is something I want to unpack. You're curious I'm curious as to what y'all think about the Jackie Chantel issue.
Oh yeah, that's my dive I got to do this weekend.
I actually have a lot of thoughts about it, but
so we're gonna do a joint panel.
We could do that. When I say I have a lot of thoughts, and I'm reading this book, I think is going to help us even unpack some of the things that we think may be true that may not be true at all. You know what I mean? I'm gonna read the second affirmation. I'm gonna read some of these affirmations. One is, I deserve love and respect, and I will not settle for less. Number 3, my worth is not defined by my child's treatment of me. Number 4, I release guilt and embrace peace, knowing I did my best as a mother. Number 5, and I'm gonna stop with this one. I will not chase relationships that cause me pain. That could be utilized in every area of your life. Not to chase any relationships that cause you pain. Just a quick thought on the Jackie and Chantel situation. I think that people calling Jackie a toxic parent is unfair. And only reason why I say it's unfair is because nobody lived in that house but Jackie and those children and her husband and her mom. And we don't know exactly what goes on in the confinement of 4 walls or in behind somebody's home, right? So to get on live and be like, "Oh, she's a toxic mama, she's a toxic," I can't say that because I don't know. I don't know. I know what her daughter said. I know what they've shown us on TV, but I wasn't there. So I wouldn't dare call her toxic. That's just my take on it. I wouldn't dare call her toxic. I think as a mother, she did some things that were really hurtful to her oldest child. I think that her middle daughter witnessed some of those things. And I think in witnessing some of those things that were done to her sister, I think that she too feels like she had some go-between or some ownership in that. And she may carry the burden of watching some of that go on. But do I think that Chantel was mistreated? Mm-mm. Do I think that, as she said on Carlos King's live, that her mama told her to take her butt upstairs and clean up her room before Doug got home? And what was Doug gonna do? I wrote it down in my notebook because I watched the interview. Doug was gonna slap her face or punch her in the face or something. Do I think that he may have said that? He might have said that. Do I think it's right? I don't think it's right. Do I think you should cut off your mama for that? No, I don't. I think you should give them grace.
Lies my issue is you have all these issues with your mother, but I don't hear where does Doug come in playing because that's a 2-parent household.
That part.
So why do you have no issues for him?
But if I talk for a minute, I'm gonna go get me some water off the counter.
Okay. Yeah. We're gonna do. Oh, she done kicked herself off the whole live. But yeah, I'm gonna I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna do my research between today and tomorrow. Especially before we do our members live tomorrow, because I do want to come back this week. But so, and I just asked Lady Rose that if we can do a joint, which is excellent because she has that book. And the first thing I thought about when you started to talk about that book was the Jackie Christie and Chantel and Takari of it all.
Yeah, right. Yeah. When I ordered the book, I ordered it because as a young mom, we don't always do things right. I guess a couple of years ago, I sent my babies all a text message and said, I tried to be the best parent I could. And if I failed you in any way, I apologize. But please know your mom is human and I'm always here for you. You can call this number anytime. Anytime I have a roof, you can come up under it because I will always be your mom. And it wasn't because anything was going on. I had watched the show and this lady was really tripping on her mama. And I was like, did I do that to my kids? Because, you kind of, when you watch other people, you kind of can sometimes reflect in your own life of things. Did I speak harshly to them about cleaning up or doing stuff? And, I was amazed. One by one, you were a great mom. Mom, you took care of us. Mom, we know that you did X, Y, and Z, and you did the best you could. We don't hold anything because what you did caused us to be the people we are today. So, but I also believe that we never get too old to learn. We never get too old to change. We never get too old to reflect and make changes so that we can be a better person. That's just my personal opinion.
Oh, no, I look at it the same way. And it's so crazy that you said that. I'm constantly apologizing to my boys, especially my oldest.
Mm-hmm.
I'm constantly, and they're always telling me, like, Mom, we know it's okay. Even like, a couple of weeks ago, my son called me and I didn't, it didn't come up in the conversation or anything, but he was like, "Ma, I just want to tell you that, stop blaming yourself. Is- You know, just basically taking accountability for the choices he made and stuff." But I still rounded out back to me. You know what I'm saying? Still,
And that's what you've got to stop doing. That's where this book comes into play, right? Not so much the fact that, because you and your son are not estranged, y'all still talk, but you cannot carry the burden and the responsibility of decisions he's made. You've got to, and that's a hard thing to do, because my kids haven't always made the best decisions. But I will tell you this: one thing I had to learn was give it to God, because that mess will keep you up at night. It'll have you not sleeping. I have paced the floors praying for my own son. You know what I'm saying? He's staying out all night and drink a little more than I think he should drink, smoke a little more than I think he should smoke. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Or just not doing things that I think he should be doing. Things, child, when I found out my son smoked weed, I almost went into cardiac arrest. I'm being very honest, because I tried to live a very clean life in front of them. I tried to not do anything that I thought, well, I've never smoked weed in my time, in my big age. I ain't never touched it. I've never smoked a cigarette. I do drink a little wine, and I started that when I was 45. They were all adults by that time. So I really find it to me was scary. Like, what does this lead to? What are you doing? That's what I remember asking, what are you doing? Where'd you get this from? And then I learned I had to accept him for who he is. He's exploring life. I had to explore life. My siblings had to explore life. He has to do the same. And I remember my mom saying so vividly, you're going to learn when you have children exactly how I feel. When they're little, they sit on your lap. As they get older, they sit on your heart. Because my kids sit right here. Every day, they right here on my chest, because that's how much I love them. They are my first thought, even before my husband. My kids are, because I am always going to be their mom. I am always concerned about their well-being, even as adults. You got to be kidding me, said. Me either. I think this is a delicate situation, and not everybody is equipped to speak on it. I totally agree.
You got to be kidding me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you just gotta that one.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree. And I'm gonna tell you why I agree. I watched a young lady on YouTube talk about Jackie Christie and Chantel's situation. Now, we've seen Takari's kind of situation pan out in front of us live. What we've seen from her and Jackie, but there's always her side, his side, and then the truth somewhere in the middle. But to call someone toxic, I'm not gonna subscribe to that, because I don't know what happened. Again, I don't know what happened. All I know is what I saw on TV. That doesn't mean anything, because I still don't know what happened behind those doors.
And I think because Takari and Jackie's in a great place now, and Takari is forgiveness, which is a really beautiful thing.
Beautiful. Forgiveness is beautiful. It is beautiful, because that means you can rebuild. It means all is not lost. We can rebuild. The one thing that I also noticed was that Doug, we mad at Jackie, but where was Doug? Why wasn't he saying, Jackie, stay home with the kids? Jackie, I need you to be, because I heard him say, oh, I was mad because you left me and grandmama had to raise me. Be thankful for grandmama. But I think a lot of this comes with maturity. But this lady that I was watching said, and I saw her tweet, so I'm gonna say the tweet. I think I screenshot it, but I'm not gonna pull it up right now because I got a gazillion things in my phone. But her screenshot says, I cannot believe how many millennials are taking up for Jackie. And I was like, taking up for Jackie? So are millennials, and I responded, are millennials supposed to be against their parents or their moms? That's where this book comes in at. Millennials have made a stance that they're going no contact with their parents, with their mom especially. And that's not fair. So I'm not going to subscribe to that. I'm not going to jump on that bandwagon. I'm going to voice my opinion, and I'm going to move past it. So I really think that's something we really need to explore more. We need to talk about it. We need to get it out here, because most of us are over the age of 40, and we should be able to discuss things that affect us. We're all moms, And we
Yeah.
all deal with something as raising our young adults to be young adults. You got to be kidding me, says exactly, because I didn't have the best relationship with my mom growing up. But since I've been an adult, I have begun to understand her better as a mom. And that's fair. That's fair. I'm gonna tell you, when I was growing up, I thought my mama was the devil.
Listen, I was about to say, you got to be kidding me. I had the same. Yeah, and really, I really went through it earlier in life, and then I was 16. I'll never forget it. I remember vividly. I just woke up one day, and from like, I want to say probably like 11 to 16, I didn't understand my mother. I didn't understand her. I just didn't understand some things, you know. And then one day I just woke up and it all clicked to me. It's like, first of all, my mother was a teenage mother,
Mhm.
you know. Um, you know, I don't know, and it just started all rushing into my head, and it just made me, you know. I'll say this, which is not good, but there was a lack of respect, not a disrespect like a Chantel disrespect,
Right.
but it was a lack of respect that I had for my mother
Mhm.
because of things or how I felt. You know what I mean? And like I said, I literally just woke up one day out the bed, like literally opened my eyes and just, you know how you just lean up, open
Mhm.
my eyes, and it just dawned on me like my mother did the best she could do, especially being a teenage mother. First of all, I was her second child. Her first child was technically and literally born when she was 14 going on 15.
Oh wow.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, girl, get a grip.
You gave
Get
her
a
you had to give her grace. You had to
yeah.
realize, yeah.
I
Which
had
is
to really think about how would I'm, at 13, I'm still running the streets, trying, being wild and young and free. I couldn't imagine becoming a parent just a couple of years after getting my goddamn, you know.
right, right.
I'm saying it's like the process for my mother got kind of jacked up. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Just
And
going into womanhood and then bam, you're pregnant.
right, right. And it was a lot of things that my mother went through with my grandmother, but because my grandmother showed up so different for me as a grandmother, I didn't understand that dynamic. I thought my grandmother's my shero. As
See,
you say, I talk about her a lot. She's my shero.
right.
Like you would think that I was raised with her, like literally like living with her, but I didn't live with her. But that's how much time I spent with her.
Yeah.
And when I did have that disconnect with my mother, that's who I connected with, you
Yeah.
know, my grandmother. So it was like I didn't understand their dynamic, but it wasn't until years after my grandmother passed, and then one day we was home on my grandfather's back porch, and it dawned on me, it's like I have to realize that who my grandmother showed up and was for me
Mhm.
does not negate, or I shouldn't devalue how my mother felt, how she showed up for her as a mother. And
Right.
what I can't realize is I think what my grandmother did is maybe she realized her failures, or, things that she felt like she felt at my mother,
Mhm.
and 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 probably and maybe in her way made up with how me and her relationship was. You know what I mean?
Correct, correct. And here's the thing too. I'm gonna tell you this: the love you have for your grandchildren does not compare to the love you have for your children. It's a different love. The things that my grandchildren get away with, my kids could have never got away with, girl. Because you have to respect the mother, right? I can't just go in there and say, "You sit your tail down, you're gonna get popped." I can't do that to my grandkids. Now I did that to my children. You better sit down. I'm not playing with you. I have to ease back and ease into it when it comes to my grandkids. I don't talk like that to them, right? But the love I have for my grandchildren, my grandchildren probably should have been born first because they probably could have taught me to be a better mom. But when I talk about me thinking my mom was the devil, my mom was devout Christian, baby, holiness. I only wore dresses. When I tell you, baby, saved through and through. And I thought, how in the world did I end up with these people as parents? But my mom, she and I clashed a lot as a teenager. My dad, and that was my dude. And I would tell him, why don't you, daddy, get your wife off me. And he's like, girl, I ain't saying nothing about you. You crazy. You're going to get me in trouble. So dad never got in the middle of it. And when I became an adult, I realized, and I mean adult, like 19, 20, my mama is my biggest ally. This lady loved me unconditionally. And I realized the moment, if she had $10, girl, she would give it to me and she would go broke. So that meant her love for me was deep. And as a dumb teenager, I didn't realize it.
Right.
And when I went to my mom and apologized to her, I don't even know when our relationship turned around. But baby, our relationship did a 360. My mom almost became my best friend. So much as so, my sister, my mom was going to get my daughter off the bus, my youngest off the bus. And she did that for me every day because I worked. And for some reason, my youngest had to be at school the latest, and she got out. No, she had to be at school first, but got out the earliest. So
Okay.
I would still be at work, and my mama would pick her up, would be there waiting on the bus. They went to private school up until 5th grade. And so my sister said they were eating, and mama said, I gotta take y'all home because I gotta go get my baby out the bus. She said, yo, baby. She said, I gotta go get my baby out the bus. And so my sister said, well, Mom, you just make sure that she's compensating you for, you getting her baby out the bus every day. My mama said, I almost put the car in park on the freeway. I looked at her so hard. She said, girl, if you don't mind your business, me and her got this taken care of. And when I tell you, when she told me that, I appreciated that so much because I never knew my mama felt that way about me. Even in high school, I remember going to her because my mama believed that adults, you don't call an adult a lie. Girl, you going to jail. So the teacher said something to me and I told her.
Straight through their teeth. I'm trying to tell you.
Right.
They lying.
They lying. I said, Mama, she's not telling you. See, we weren't allowed to say lie in our house either. I said, Mama, she telling the story. And she said, telling the story. You calling that teacher a lie? Or you calling that lady a lie? Girl, then I said, because that meant I was scared of my mama. When I say scared, I was scared. She was in our home, she was the disciplinarian. My daddy, he didn't kill a fly. He wasn't gonna whoop a fly either. My mama was the one that was gonna tear you up. And so I said, no, I ain't calling her a lie. Little did I know, my mama investigated that whole situation, went up to the school, and I was in private school. I always wondered why I was removed out of this lady's classroom. It wasn't until I was an adult. She told me, I realized the lady was from Kentucky and she was prejudiced. She said, I took what you said and I took what she told me and I realized she was lying. But I couldn't let you know that. I said, why you couldn't let me know that? She said, because I always wanted you to respect your elders. And as I've grown older, I understand that. My mama raised us with a lot of morals and intentions. She raised us very intentionally, but I didn't understand any of that. Like you said, you woke up one morning, you realized your mama did the best she could. I woke up one morning and realized this lady really, truly loves me. And I'm around here acting a fool because I want to have my way. I'm a spoiled brat and I need to listen to what she's saying. And from that moment on, I was my mama's keeper. I loved her to the day she died, and I still love her. Baby, I love my mama. I thank the lady for giving birth to me at her late age in life because she could have had an abortion. She could do whatever she wanted to do. But she decided her and my daddy was going to have one more child. So I really feel like that we have to give our parents grace. We have to give our mothers grace because whatever they went through, we don't know what all went on. It wasn't until my mom was old in age and I was her caregiver that she told me a lot of things that happened to her even as a child. My mama never told me she ran away from home. And she said, Papa wouldn't let me play basketball, so I ran away from home. I said, where'd you go? Y'all lived in the country. She said, I took all my lunch money I had saved up and took the bus to the next city over to where her mother's only sister lived. And she spent the night with her. She thought, but Papa knew where she was at. And she said he never fussed at her for running away. He pulled up to the house and he knocked on the door. She said he just told her, come on, let's go home. Her mother had died. She lost her mother at 15. She said that he never fussed. He never complained. He didn't say a word. They rode home in silence. And she said when she got home, it was like he knew, he understood that she needed him to be a dad and not to be a warrior, because she said he was a warrior. So I think that as parents, we have to give other parents grace. Don't be so quick. And these people with these young kids, don't be so quick to judge people when they are parenting adults, right? And I mean that by you have adult children and you're still their parent, right? And they disrespect you. Because guess what? Your young kid might grow up and disrespect you. I do not agree with what Chantel did to Jackie. Jackie, she should have gave her a 2-piece and a pepper. She should have. She should have gave her a 2-piece and a pepper. My mama would have.
People try to tell Chantel, like, girl, do you know? Girl, that you got let off easy compared to what would have happened in a regular household. Baby, right. You would have got a mud hole stomped in you. Are you crazy?
Thank you. You got to be kidding me. Yeah, my mama would have told her up. She was still, I don't care how grown you get. Girl, let me tell you something. One of my older sisters, and I don't even like telling other people business, but one of my older sisters, she called herself gonna snap off at my mama. Like I told you, my mama, when I tell you, I had a conversation with my sister, one of my sisters this morning, not the one who, because this one I just talked to, she would never do anything like that. But I was telling her, I said, I thought mama was invincible and she left us. I thought my mama was never, like death would never come to her. But to see her pass away was really hard on me, right? And so my mom, like I said, she was a tough chick. My daddy, he was going to work this Sunday morning. My sister came over and she told, the words I heard come out of her mouth was, I'm grown. And my mama knocked her over the back of the couch. I remember that like it was yesterday. And I was a little bitty girl because my mama didn't play. You didn't talk to her crazy. And she would mimic the words, I brought you into this world, I take you out. I know without a shadow of a doubt, my mama would not kill me or hurt me. Well, she would not hurt me. I don't even want to use the word K, the K word. I know she would not hurt me. But as a kid, I thought she would do exactly what she said she would do. That's how, that's what I say. I thought my mama was from the devil. That's what I mean. Because when I say she had the fear of God in all of us, and one day I was telling her, I said, Mama, he was so rough on us. And she said, I ain't never had to come get you from the jailhouse, have I? No, ma'am. You got a good job, don't you? Yes, ma'am. She said, I think I did pretty good. I ain't never been to jail to pick up none of my kids. And I said, well, I guess that's a good way to look at it, Mama. She said, that's the way I look at it.
Period. Okay.
Yeah, she said, that's the way I look at it. Me and your daddy, we raised 8 kids. It wasn't easy raising 8 kids. She said, you got more than any of the kids got. She said, I couldn't afford to put them in private school.
Yeah.
She said, when you came along, life was easier for us. She said, but you really tried to get away with murder. And I had to let you know what you weren't getting away with nothing. You weren't getting away. And baby, she proved it to me that she was the mama. This was her house. Wasn't gonna be but one hen in the hen house. And I had to come up under her subjection. And she proved that to me. And again, I have a lot of respect. I used to joke with her. Now, the rest of my siblings, they said I would push the envelope because I'd be like, girl. They could never say that to her. I'd be like, girl, what we doing today? Girl, you gonna get your nails done? Girl, let's go get our feet done. But that was
dynamic. My mother, man, the way she let him get away with so much, baby, I just be sitting there. To this day, I be sitting there like, really? We ain't hurt my kids.
See?
And my kid, I mean, between him and my kids, I'm like, Ma, you really dropped the ball. Like, what is like, who are you? What is going on?
Right. Some of the things they've gone through, some of the trials and tribulations, because none of our children come with a manual. They don't come with a handbook that says, okay, open up page 3. On page 3, okay, you today, help them tie their shoes. Oh, today is the day they should be potty trained. Children don't come with a manual. It's a lot of guessing and figuring it out. So that's it. Butterfly, you have any closing remarks? Thank you. You got to be kidding me. Great conversation, ladies. So refreshing and an amazing life. Thank you so much. am so glad you guys are here.
Yeah.
Anything you want to say as we close out? Because we're going to end this.
Beautiful, excellent show. I look forward to the rest of the content that you will be bringing. Congratulations on finally launching your channel. Because I know we talked about it last year. So I'm really happy that you finally did it. And I just look forward to your content. And thank you for having me up here. I didn't want to like take over your show. You know, I hate typing, but thanks for having me up.
I appreciate you because you help the conversation move along, having someone to talk to. It helps the conversation move along. Thank you so much, Miss AKA Kashara's Kitchen. You got to be kidding me. Living for Me. Shauna, Symmetry. I hope I named everybody. That's why I don't like to name names, because you always forget somebody. Thank you so much today for joining this Saturday morning live. You guys, I want to try to make this a weekly thing, doing news topics on Saturday morning. And I hope, well, some Saturday mornings when I'm available. If you see my little background, this is me flying over, headed to Dubai. So I'm not going to forget, this page is really about travel and reality TV. I love reality TV. But this is something I enjoy. I enjoy traveling. I enjoy seeing other places. And we're going to get into some travel. We're going to talk about some places I've been, some places I want to go, and some things I think you guys should do. And I hope you guys have a great Saturday. If no one's told you today they love you, I love you, and there ain't a thing you can do about it. Y'all have a great day.